Welcome to Growth with Taylor. So this is somewhat of a concise video where I want to talk about what I've learned the last 6 months. This is a lot. It's not from books, not from theory, but from pressure and conflict, work, ambition, and being focused, or also being forced to look at myself honestly. And a few things stand out. This is kind of also an evaluation of sorts for, I guess, my future self, but also for you listeners that can use it, or watchers that are interested in also reflecting on some of these points. The first one is pressure has two sides. There's the pressure from the outside, whether there's work, expectations, deadlines, responsibilities, other people's opinion. And then there's the pressure on the inside, fear, overthinking, defensive,ness, the need to prove myself, for example. And I've learned that the second one is often the hardest to manage because it's an internal conflict, essentially. 2, proving yourself is exhausting. I've also realized that I've spent a lot of energy and trying to show that I am capable, valuable, respected, or good enough, or whatever it might be. The problem is, even when you do well, it does not always feel like enough. So maybe the goal is not to prove more. Maybe the goal is to need less proof. Number 3. So communication is power, and I've learned that what you say matters. I mean, it kind of says itself in a way, but how you say it matters even more, especially at work, but I mean also generally in relations. Sometimes the right move is not to defend yourself emotionally, which I've found myself doing a couple of times, where I'll get into like fairness and stuff like that, but the one thing is what you say in the situation, but also how you react internally to whatever's going on. And sometimes the right move is not to defend yourself. It's just to stay calm, be clear, and also document things properly. Especially in leadership, you have to remember a lot of things, and you have a lot of interactions. It's good to document things both for yourself so you can see progress, but also look back at it later. And it's not always about winning, but creating clarity. It's not like I used to want to win arguments. It's not really my thing. I usually don't care that much if I'm right or not. It's usually a fairness issue, or a feeling of putting a lot of work and energy into something and then it not being recognized properly in some fashion. Number 4, not every fight is worth taking. People who have written books about this stuff, and I mean, it does not come as a surprise, but it's always nice to hear it out loud, because I've learned that being right does not always mean you should respond. Some things need to be addressed, some things need to be documented, and some things are just not worth the energy, and it's not weakness, it's just a discipline. Overall, I would also say having systems set up as number 5 you can fall back on. It's not always trying harder necessarily. I mean, you can try as hard as you want on something that's not in the system and is essentially just work for work's sake. Better systems are clearer routines, better follow-up, better structure, better communication, better feedback loops. And if the system is weak, people burn out trying to compensate. And I guess I could also say it to some extent. I've also tried to run up a lot of things that were not in a system and just thinking, well, I'll just put more energy into it, I'll probably fix it. So number 6, energy matters. And I've learned that ambition costs energy, but generally it's also about bandwidth. I have not done a whole lot of other stuff than work the last couple 6 months, other than socializing, working out, and eating as I should. But like work, training, social life, goals, money, content, self-improvement, it all adds up, and you have to kind of figure out how this pie is going to be cut, because if you try to do everything at once, it usually just burns you out. And you can do sprints, it's cool, but if if you do sprints back to back, no evaluation. I mean, if you have anything in your work environment that's agile, you know, you don't just do one sprint into the next. You have to evaluate, you have to refocus, reprioritize. And if you apply that to your life too, it's a marathon essentially. And you just run the first 5 miles or kilometers at full speed, and just break. I mean, you can pretty much keep going, I guess, but at some point your body's going to say stop. So one of the things that I kind of use as a marker, so to speak, that is if everything starts to feel like a task. And it's not always laziness, it's about overload. And recovery is really not optional. You can burn yourself in both ends by waking up early and going late to bed, drinking coffee all day, and just cranking out some hours. But eventually it'll get you, and you're going to have a 12-hour, 40-hour, 12-hour, 14-hour sleeping binge to catch up on that sleep and recovery. And yeah, that's just a reminder to myself. I also have to be better at the discipline within recovery. That in itself, recovery is also important. I try to say to myself that I can't be with my team at full capacity if I'm not with myself at full capacity, essentially. I mean, there's going to be a compromise at some point. And if I compromise on myself, it will also compromise my environment, essentially, over time. So, number 7, I want more than stability. I've also learned that having things together is not the same as feeling fulfilled. I mean, you can have a job, discipline, structure, progress, and still feel like something's missing. I think for me, it's more a freedom, connection, but also just more peace in general. A lot of things have happened the last year or so, and I think that one of the things that I know one of the things I really enjoy right now is just being with myself and doing some stuff that I like, or just recover, meditate, do something that's outside of a specific goal-oriented thing. Number 8. I cannot build a life by constantly trying to prove that I deserve one. That is, like, bottom line. The next step is not becoming more capable. It's learning to stay calm while becoming more capable. And it's not necessarily that I need constant validation from my peers or my boss, but also sometimes when you have a culmination of targets that are not linear in their development, and you feel like you're not moving the needle on anything. You're showing up, you're using your energy best possible. I try to give 120% every day. I mean, and it's probably also why I'm usually pretty exhausted, but I really do care a lot about my team, and I do really care a lot about the results we produce. And I'm also really proud of the people that I work with, and it is fulfilling. Sometimes when I get really stressed out or there's something not going the way I want to, I've been more, I would say, emotional about it because I want it to work out so bad. So that's also one thing that I've learned a lot, that you have to have your own back in a way, by being able to validate yourself in the work that you do. I mean, if I go home and I think, I've done all that I can do today, you can't squeeze the lemon anymore. I mean, you have to be proud of something, Trying to learn how to work hard without attaching my worth to the result. Sometimes it's hard because when you are in, for example, leadership or a result-driven organization, or generally a result-driven person, you get lost in the pursuit of the goal. You're in a negative way. You're not as good as the results that you produce now. Past results are usually just another stepping stone. And sometimes you have to go back and look at it and see it from the whole perspective, instead of it's kind of like looking at day-to-day operations and hitting yourself over the head of why didn't we get this? Why didn't we get that? But go out and look at the whole picture of the last 6 months. What have we created together? What have we reached of new heights, or which challenges have we overcome? Doesn't necessarily have to be the result itself, but try to really learn to work on being grateful for the process too. I feel like I'm evolving, learning a lot, and also learning a lot about myself. So, a little food for thought. Just wanted to check in and share some insights of what I've been thinking about, learning, and also trying to progress within. A lot of these areas are more soft-ish, so to say. I mean, they are in a psychology sense. It's not really necessarily hardcore practical things, but it's food for thought, and I wanted to share my insights. So thank you for watching, and see you.